Welcome to the Life and Times podcast. Sit back, enjoy the conversation, enjoy the vibes, and thank you for checking us out. Sims, I want to know, tell me about one of the most weird guests you've gotten.
We get them all the time.
Oh, no doubt.
You know that. I would say I had an instance, and it's a whole story, but basically the most recent because I'm the type of person I think we all, when we're at this level of it, we've been doing it so long, like we remember certain shit, but also we just kind of, you kind of got to dispatch all that information, just get rid of it. Otherwise, you'll think about it all the time while you're off. But
Correct.
probably the most recent and funny was this dude comes to sit up at the bar poolside, right? And
Mm-hmm.
as he's sitting at the bar, he's sitting next to these two young ladies. He's having conversation. It didn't seem like anything crazy. And he buys the ladies a few shots. So this girl walks up, and I'm behind the bar entertaining a few guests as well, outside of this situation. So this girl walks up into that situation, and she's like, "Oh, we buying bitches drinks, we buying shots." So she asked the bartender, she's like, "What's your most expensive bottle you got?" So he tells her, it's this tequila so and so. She's like, "All right,
Mm-hmm.
we doing 4 shots of that. Fuck that, since this motherfucker buying shots XYZ." So I'm kind of listening, but not really, because I'm just thinking they're just a little drunk. Um,
Right, right.
so I turn around, I'm still talking to the other guest on my side of the bar, and then the bartender's like, Sims, this lady just assaulted this dude. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah. The dude is like, yeah. And the bartender, he's one of our better ones. And he looks at me like, yeah, she wildin'. So
Yeah,
apparently the
yeah.
chick, she pops the dude upside the head like 5 times. Yeah, 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 yeah. And this was her reaction to him talking to these ladies and buying them shots. So we grab security, we're like, unfortunately, ma'am, you gotta go. So she's
Right.
like, she starts crying. Oh, y'all
Oh
don't know
my
what I'm
God.
dealing with this man. I gotta deal with this all the time. You. So I'm like, yeah, I hear you, but unfortunately, us as adults, we need to learn to keep our hands to ourselves. Not learn, but we got to keep our hands to ourselves. Your
Right.
place of business, you unfortunately have to leave. I don't understand. Da, 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 da. I'm like, yeah, I hear you, but if the shoe was on the other foot and he did it, we gonna drag him out here face first. Like, know that. So,
Correct.
but
Correct.
unfortunately, if it was you, you gotta go. So
Right.
as we're trying to, get out and she's pleading her case, these 3 other girls jump in the situation. And they're like, leave our friend alone.
Oh
She
my
can't
God.
leave. Why she gotta go? If she gotta go, then he gotta go too. And then I'm like, well, unfortunately, he hasn't done anything, ma'am. And she's like, yeah, but um, she giving me all the reasons he gotta go. So then one of the girls, she's like, he left. Well, you know what? He touched my leg, so that's sexual assault. He gotta go. So I'm like, all right, let me deal. I got to deal with this instance. This young lady still has to leave, and once I deal with that, then I'll go address that if that actually
Correct.
happened. So eventually, she leaves. So then me and security talked amongst ourselves, and we like, if that happened, he has to go. But also to keep the peace, he may just have to go to because these 3 other girls are up here. So we go to him, homie, just to let we're gonna ask you to leave. And he was cool. He was kind of pissed that he had to go, but he was like, I get it. So I go to one of the girls and I'm like, yo, what y'all need to do as friends, y'all need to go downstairs and like manage that situation because we're sending them both downstairs to a very
Right.
similar
Y'all
space.
y'all are about this. Yeah,
So
exactly.
I don't want anybody to go to jail, is my thing. She go down
Right.
there, he go down there, they start popping off, they get locked up, out of
Right.
our hands, but I'm trying to be a human being right now.
Correct.
So um then I go tell one of the girls is like, all right, but she kind of brushes me off. And I go to the second girl, I'm like, yo, I try to tell your homegirl so y'all can go get your friend. She like, oh, that's not our friend. I'm like, like, so she's like, that's not our friend. So I'm like, what you mean? That's not your friend. She's like, oh, now we just saw another person in need and decided to jump in and help. So I'm like, I respect that. We all just saw Montgomery helping someone in need. I respect and get all of that.
Straight
However,
up.
you know what I'm saying? That like you sit here about to have some sexual assault charges filed on this man for something he ain't even do. and they ain't even your friends. So then these three girls, they giving me their whole ass to kiss after the fact. You should have still helped her. She a sister. Da 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 da. I said, but once again, if he, him being a brother, like there's no love for him. The black man can't get no love too. Like, come on. Like, what if he were in a similar situation? You got to see both sides of the picture. You can't just be one sided about things in life. A lot of times. After this, the three girls they stay up there. Probably like 3 hours later, they slide into one of our cabanas with another group. They're from New
Mm-hmm.
York, so me and them start chopping it up, having a good old New York conversation. And then one of the girls, the girl who said homie touched her thigh, um, she lost her Gucci flip flops. So they're like, "Oh, I need you to run the cameras back." Da 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 da. Unfortunately, ma'am, I don't have access to the cameras. I can't. I'm the general
Right,
manager
right.
has access. I can't access them to see it. She's like, well, you need to find out who did it so we can find out so we can get them. Basically, like they're gonna run down on some people. Um, yeah. Basically, the story was she left her flip flops at the side of the pool at like 6 o'clock. And then she just left them there. And I guess she thought they were going to stay there, even though we have lockers, even though we have, places that you can put them and store them
Right.
securely. She decided not to do that. And then in turn, 4 hours later, when she decided to retrieve those items, they were not there
No longer.
anymore.
Yeah.
So to me, it was a very good case of karma because who's to say how far she would have went with this sexual assault claim on homie when he did nothing wrong, but buy some ladies some drinks, and that may be wrong in his relationship, right? I get that, but they were basically about to get this man like damn near locked up. So that's my most recent funny and somewhat entertaining story that I have to tell at times.
Jesus. I do not miss that at all.
No.
At all. Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of the Life and Times podcast, which is short for the Life and Times of a Restaurant Lifer. I'm Adrian, the host. You
Lifer.
already know it's no BS coming from me. I am joined for episode 15 by the homie, a returning guest. He's repping the Giants. I like that hat, bro.
If you ever have me on again, I'm gonna rep a different hat every time. It was the Knicks
Okay,
last time,
word.
Giants today.
Nice, nice, nice. All right, cool. So we're joined by the homie Sims. So Sims, let the people know where can they find you, brother.
Currently, I am managing at Rooftop LOA in the heart of West Midtown Atlanta. Um, Rooftop LOA consists of our rooftop pool club and our restaurant, which has been newly named Riva.
Nice.
Um, and yeah, we're right at the corner of 14th and Howell Mill, right in Midtown, on top of the rooftop of the building what that we call the Interlock right now. It houses Putt Shack downstairs, Holiday Bar, Velvet Taco, and a few other places down below.
It's a dope spot, y'all. This is the perfect time of the year to go to the roof. Check out the vibes. It's a beautiful location. Pool is cool. I haven't been there with a DJ there, so I still gotta
It's a
take you
vibe.
up on your offer. So
Yes,
yeah,
sir. You're always welcome.
no doubt, no doubt. All right, well, like I said before, Sims is a returning guest, so he knows we always start off with something that all of us in hospitality we're very good at, either walking in on the industry or leaving the industry. You wind up being very good at it, and that's drinking alcohol. So my first question for you, Sims, is what are you drinking today?
And this lovely, lovely Yeti that stays ice cold for
Nice.
almost 24 hours if you let it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. These
what
lit.
I have it filled with today is one of my favorite beverages. It's called H2O.
This is you're the second straight non-alcohol drinking
There you
guest
go.
this week or this season. So shout out to you. I am drinking alcohol because I need it. I've had a couple meetings today and I need it. Uh, I found this. This is a weird can. It's Sweetwater Gummies
Ooh.
Tropical IPA or IIPA. So this is my first time trying it. This is a blind test. Y'all already know if I don't like it, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna keep it real.
I haven't had a good sweet water in a while, so I'm interested,
Man, it
intrigued.
smells sweet, sweet as hell. All right, so before I taste it, man, I want to cheers to you, brother. Cheers to you and your team. I see you working. I see you getting busy up there, and I know y'all. I mean, you still got Labor Day weekend that's gonna pop off. Y'all got a couple dates ahead that are gonna be
Oh yeah.
crazy. So, cheers to you. Welcome back to the podcast. By the way, bro,
Thank you, sir.
and cheers to the listeners, man. Shout out to y'all for listening.
What it do? What it tastes like?
Excuse me?
That's
It's not on a like Tropicalia end, is it? Like when I say, the tropical
okay.
IPAs.
Okay, I can describe it. Hmm. It's not. It's not something that I'm gonna drink like over and over again.
Hmm.
It's a one-time type experience. So take that as what I'm saying. It is a little fruity, of course. It
Yeah.
says gummies, so you should expect that. It is fruity, it's floral, but it's not nearly as sweet as it smells. So the initial smell, you're gonna think, man, I'm about to drink something that tastes like purple drink or something,
Yeah.
but it's decent. It's solid.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
Sweetwater, y'all are still undefeated in Adrian's book. So shout out
Okay.
to y'all.
Okay. Heard that. Yeah, this water is plain old water, non-flavored.
That's
So,
that's the best beverage. Best beverage.
yes, taking a month off. My birthday's in a little over a month, so I was like, I'll take a month off anyway. I'll try to do it at least once a year, and then get it in for my birthday. Since my daughter's birthday, my birthday, my girlfriend's
Yeah, yeah.
birthday,
It's all
well,
lined up.
all within like a week and a half's time. So I'm like, take a little break.
What are you doing for your birthday?
No plans. We may shoot down to Miami. That's what we're talking about because mine is the 16th and hers is the 11th. My
Nice.
daughter's is the 5th, which is Labor Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk to her mom. She's talking about Disney World, so I may not make that trip just with work and then, so everything else going in. So we'll see. We'll see.
That's where. That's where I saw those pageant pictures, man. I know you were. I know you were befuddled. You were just like, no.
Listen, I don't care.
Yes, yeah. Just yesterday, you were crawling.
I, one, two. I don't. I'm never one of those like you got to be super macho. Da 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 da. Da. But I'll say
Mm-hmm.
this: I used my year's worth of tears in that event. I should be good and dried up for the rest of the year.
Nice, nice, nice.
So it was good.
That's what's up, man. Speaking of tears, our last time together, Sims, on the podcast,
I was
one
gonna say I
thing
didn't
that
cry. I didn't cry.
oh well, some of us have recently, as of
Oh.
recently. But last time we met on the podcast, one of the topics that we talked about was the MCU. Both
Mm,
of us are comic book fans. We grew up comic book nerds. We still are to this point, and MCU is one of those topics that you and I will frequently talk about. If we hear some
hmm
rumor, we're talking about it. If we see an announcement or a trailer, you're probably one of the first people I reach out to
hmm
for feedback or at least to bounce my ideas off of. So, um, with the MCU, one of their most recent projects is Secret Invasion. And for those of you who are in the know or not in the know of comic books, Secret Invasion is was a big comic book event where it was basically infiltration of
hmm
the people of Earth and beyond by an alien race of shape-shifting alien called the Skrulls. This series that was on Disney Plus, it it leaned into the series. It leaned
hmm
into the series of the comic book. It took some inspiration, took some liberties, but it's been a lot of feedback up and down all over the place. But I would also say it's mostly negative. So,
hmm
Sims, I want to ask you, like, what were your initial thoughts once they announced Secret Invasion?
My initial thoughts were meh, but
Okay.
I also had the same thoughts when the first Guardians of the Galaxy was announced. Um, knowing the characters, being someone who collected for many a years. When
Mm-hmm.
I first heard the Guardians of the Galaxy, I was like, why? That's that they're a mid-level team, you know. Um, Peter, even when I grew up, Peter Quill wasn't even around as much. He came in the later versions of it. So I'm thinking the
Mm-hmm.
original version with Yondu, Charlie, what's it, Charlie 27 or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
He's like from Jupiter. I'm thinking that iteration of it. And it didn't make sense to me. And then when I saw, I think you and I saw the preview at the same time, and we saw it at the same time because we talked
We were
about it, I
like, oh
remember.
yeah,
And we were like, yo,
yeah,
like they had an Atlantic station. I'll never forget. They had like a 15-minute, watch the first 15 minutes. When I saw that, and I was like, yo, that's
this
it.
is it. Yeah,
And when it came out for a long time, it was my favorite MCU movie. Back to Secret Invasion. When I heard it announced, um, I was like, it can shake up a lot of things because I, vividly remember one of the biggest things was Wolverine had died in the books. I can't remember if I can't remember how, but Wolverine died. I think it was when he was killed by Magneto or something like that. Magneto stripped him of all his adamantium or something, and
mm,
then he died. But then Secret Invasion happened, and Wolverine, like I said, I can't remember the actual events, but Wolverine died. He came back in Secret Invasion, but then they found out he was a Skrull. And then when he came back, he was actually like the Horseman of Apocalypse. Then they got him back, and then he was actual Wolverine again. That was like the big moment of the
something
original
something
Secret.
comic book stuff.
Yeah, and then I
Yeah,
think also the Thor. I can't remember if it was Secret Invasion, Secret War, but I remember Thor killing Black Goliath, and then but it was the android Thor because the real Thor. It was just a bunch going on. The point
right.
is, I knew it could shake up the MCU, but if Rhodey being a skull, sorry, spoiler alert, but if Rhodey being a skull, for those of you who haven't seen it, is like the gist of what it was, then it's like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Um,
yeah.
I do find it hard to understand or grasp how it was basically a movie size production monetarily, and that's what we got,
Right.
you know. And I also understand like certain DC, or I'm sorry, DC, excuse me, certain MCU things aren't meant for. They're more filler, even though they put the money into it. They're not. Everything's not going to be a spectacle like Avengers
Right.
Endgame or Infinity War and so on and so forth. So I get the small pieces got to be there, for the grand scheme of things. Because for instance, Loki, when I first heard it, I was I like Loki as a character. He's one of my favorite villains, but I don't see how the show works. And then
Mm-hmm.
everyone fucking loved Loki.
Yeah,
So like we're waiting for season 2 of Loki. So I get as a fan like the little pieces, but I also feel like they need to get back on track because they haven't been right. Like they haven't been the MCU we're used to since probably Endgame. Like they have little things here and there, but it hasn't been consistently good. So.
definitely, definitely. I mean, when they announced Secret Invasion, I was intrigued with the thought of it. I was
Mhm.
mostly intrigued because this was like the most we would see Nick Fury in a single setting, other
Right.
than Captain Marvel. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So this was a great opportunity for us to know more about Nick Fury because I mean he is a spy and all that. So technically you should know the ins and outs of his life, but
Hmm.
it gave more insight on him and it was an opportunity for him to be a badass. But the biggest factor for me, at least to my intrigue, was the fact that that element of not knowing who's a Skrull or not.
Right.
And with that being said, that was probably like what you just finished talking about. That was probably one of my biggest disappointments of what that series was, which was the fact that, well, it wasn't that many people that was influential that was a Skrull, at
No.
least that we know of. You know what I'm saying?
And I expected
And
a few more to be like, like,
yeah,
oh, but it wasn't
right,
that.
right,
Yet,
right.
yet, yet. It
Yeah,
could still happen.
true, 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 true. So I mean, I think on a scale of 1 to 5, like one being no and 5 being absolutely go see it again, what would you have given that series?
3.5.
3.5. See, that's fair. I think that's fair. I think that's
Yeah.
fair because it had its shortcomings, but at the same point, it was pretty cool to see. Again, for me, speaking for myself, it was pretty cool to see Nick Fury like
Hmm.
low key be a badass in certain spots. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I wanted Maria Hill to be a Skrull.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't
I
want her to
want
die. You
Yeah, I
know?
wanted her to be a scroll. I wanted
Yeah.
her to be a scroll, but and then also like I was just waiting for a twist. I was waiting for that big twist. And the reveal, honestly, that reveal of Rhodey being a scroll was it was lame because
It
he
wasn't
was on the
much.
phone the episode before, so it was like, well, obviously he's a scroll, and then the next episode they do the shower scene.
Yeah.
They should have started with that one. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And it would be like, oh, but and maybe that's a production thing. They just kind of flipped it and they mishandled a few things. But yeah, they definitely could have did that a bit better. And then once again, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, the grand scheme of the whole MCU, I get that it may be needed. It gave us, a little more insight on Nick Fury, but it was definitely, if you think about it, it was an unnecessary series to a degree because it didn't give us anything mind blowing. For
mm-hmm,
instance, and I say that to backtrack and talk about me and the fam. I bought Guardians 3 when it came out on digital, and they hadn't seen it. I saw it in the theater, but I'm like, yo,
mm-hmm.
when I was over there last week, I want to watch it, so we watched it. And then my sister was confused at certain things because she hadn't watched the Christmas special, and you know what
Okay.
I'm saying. So I'm like some things are needed. Yes, they don't have to add them, but sometimes if you want to understand what you're watching now, you might have to go back and watch those things. So I feel like that scroll, the Secret Invasion may come into play in some ways. We just don't know where or when. We still don't know when they actually snatched up Rhodey.
This is true.
Was it right after he broke his legs, or was it sometime in between? You see, when they got him, he had a hospital gown on, so a lot of people are
Right.
speculating that they snatched him up out of the hospital as he was recovering, and they had to
Civil
help him.
War. After Civil
Yeah,
War, when he
after
got
correct.
shot down. Right.
Yeah. So it's kind
Gotcha.
of like, and then he's been walking since, but then that could have been the scroll. He could have never fully recovered. There's a lot of things that come into play when they carried him out of that facility after they beat Gravik. They had to help him out walking. So
Mm-hmm.
he may still be crippled, and he may have to
This
go
is
through
true.
that whole process over again. He may not know Tony's dead. So we really don't know. And I'm not saying once
This
again
is
that's going
true.
to be like, oh my God, but it's just one smaller character in the MCU that has to deal with those things. So,
That's
you
true.
know.
That's true. Because it was just one of those things where, like you said, down the line, it could have ramifications. Like
Hmm.
for all we know, it's a number of the members of the Avengers that are scrolls.
Right.
You
That we
know
haven't,
that
because in
we
the
don't
end they
know.
said there's still a bunch out there. So,
Exactly. So we don't know that. But also to counter that, it's like you should have gave us one or two of those reveals in this series to make the stakes even higher. I will shoot them Bell because I do like the ending, whereas the president is like hardcore, like we're gonna find you and we're gonna kill you all. Like
hmm
it's where you thought that, oh well, that scroll did save my life initially, but nah, screw that.
and
Fuck scrolls.
that adds another layer to it moving forward because it can kind of be Avengers and Skrulls teaming up, at least to help the good Skrulls, but you'll have factions of good and bad. It's gonna be another damn civilization on Earth, good and bad, and
Right.
we'll just have to see how that whole thing plays out. And we'll see what they're gonna do.
What'd you think about Gravik? Because I liked him. I
I
liked
like
him.
I liked him. I hate that he's gone because I like
I
the
hated
character,
the
of
way that
course.
ended. Oh,
Yeah.
I hated
It,
that.
it also makes me not concerned, but it also makes me curious as to how they're gonna do the Fantastic Four because in the comics, Fantastic Four came first, and then the Super Scroll came afterwards.
Right.
Um, and then of course the Super Scroll just had the powers of the entire Fantastic Four, and then later
Mm.
on when Secret Invasion happened, the Scrolls were able to adapt regular superhero powers. So it makes me wonder just how they're going to do it and if she's going to be the Super Scroll like
Yeah. I
villain or
wonder
even
if
if she's
she's
going to
gonna
be
be a
one.
villain. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And even with that, like she's essentially a big Joker. Like she literally has everyone's powers. So it's not like
yeah.
she has some limitations. Like
Mm,
she's a cheat code. So
yeah. So it's like and that's she's too what's it, Amelia Clark? What's the last name?
I don't white
Her,
woman. I don't
Daenerys.
know.
Daenerys, talking right. she she's too big of a character, I think to make not a bad guy because they have bad guys that are big, people or big actors, big name actors. But I think they're gonna utilize her in a good way. But I also think they might have to dumb down her powers, like maybe after a certain amount of time. Oh, I lost this power and I lost that power. I only have these powers. Um,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to retrofit that and figure that out. But I don't know how. Ain't
What
no
what
telling.
did you what did you think about Nick Fury and his wife?
Weird, but it's in today's society in America, I try to be more open-minded on things. No, it's so weird though because I was like looking at it, like, okay, so I'm just speaking realistically because we having a real conversation. Looking at it, I was like, oh, but then immediately I was like, but who's to say people didn't look at that when black and white people kissed each other back in the day? I,
This is a fact. This is a
so I
fact.
whenever and it's probably a problem of mine, whenever I look at a situation, even if I need to look at it hard stance one way, I always train myself to see the other side of the situation. So even
That's
I'm like,
smart.
oh, you kissing this green lady, she's probably slimy. She's probably not. It's probably just kissing another carbon-based human or life form, and they're just green. So we're not conditioned to think that way. The same way back 2, 3, 400 years ago people weren't conditioned to see interracial couples and
That's
they
facts.
so I immediately I was like, oh, grossed out, but now I was like, that's if
Yeah.
that's Fury's thing, that's Fury's thing. Who am I to judge him?
The the only thing that threw me about his wife when she turned into a scroll was her teeth. I'm a big teeth. I'm a big teeth guy,
Yeah,
and her teeth were like that, and I was
they
like,
like little cobra fangs.
right, right, yes, that's literally always been my thing. Like, the teeth look
uh,
funny. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't care. Yeah,
I can't kiss you, so I don't know. Fury got a thing for the green. I ain't mad at
but with her shape shifting abilities,
it. She can tighten all that up.
I mean, she can be any woman.
She asked him. She said, "Is
She can
this what
be
you like?
anyone.
Is this what
Yeah,
you like?" And he was like, "What?" I can't remember what his response was, but I was like, "Oh, that's how y'all get down? Okay."
yeah. Like I was like, hey, one of your coworkers looking good. It's
Like,
like, well, Natasha does. Woo. Now I'm
wow,
Natasha. Cool.
wow. Nah, damn, Natasha, give me
Oh,
a
Monica
photon, boy.
Rambo.
Yes,
Oh, okay,
sir.
cool.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir. Give
we
me
we got
photon.
Monica this week. Cool. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Natasha bad, but she ain't photon. No,
straight up.
sir.
Oh, you met Aunt May. Boom. I'm Aunt May now. Like that. That's intriguing to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, I mean,
I
bad
don't know.
either. Natasha and I ain't bad, but they ain't photon, like I said.
That's a fact. Shout out to Tayana
Oh
Paris,
yes, Miss Paris,
the lovely
the
Paris.
lovely Tiana Paris.
Did you, speaking of her, since, and this is off, I meant this is off of a run sheet, but did you see they cloned Tyrone?
Yeah, I just finished it. I started watching about a week ago, and then I think it was late, and then I just finished it maybe 2, 3 days ago. Yeah,
Did you like it?
I enjoyed it. It wasn't so I think I wouldn't say it's overhyped. Um, definitely some people are like, oh my god, and I enjoyed it. It was a good movie. I give it a 7.5 out of 10 if I had to rate it.
Mm,
It had its funny, like I put it to you like this. I started watching, that's why I stopped because my girlfriend's not a huge movie person. So every once in a while I try to like, yo, you should watch this, you should watch this, and even still,
mm-hmm.
sometimes she's yay, sometimes she's nay. 15 minutes in, Jamie Foxx had me howling. So I
Yeah.
stopped it. I was like, babe, we got to watch this movie. And I ended up finishing it by myself. But yeah, I give it like a 7.5. It started to get predictable, but it was a
Mm-hmm.
good movie. It was something different, something we hadn't seen before, if not in a long time. So
Yeah, it was something cool to watch. I mean, I don't think it's worthy of these long dissertations that I
mm-mm.
was seeing shortly after because it's like this is revolutionary and da da da. I'm like,
Y'all
come on,
doing too
y'all,
much. And I love
y'all
a good
doing.
breakdown
Hold up,
afterwards,
not they doing too much. They not doing too much. They haven't. They're not doing enough.
that part.
If you really want to talk about it,
So
I I can still go put on my dashiki and start talking, but I don't. I'm not gonna do that today, y'all. I promise I'm not gonna do that. But it was a cool watch, but it definitely wasn't as deep as a lot of these people are trying to talk about it. And I
Nah.
think, and for me, one of these, I'm in a weird place in my life where I'm learning more and more about things politically and consciously,
Hmm.
and it's kind of making me look at things differently and more critical of a lot of
Yeah.
stuff, especially when it's involving black people. So
Yeah.
for a film like that, where maybe 2 years ago I would have been like, "This shit's lit. This is the
Yeah.
perfect da da da," but now it's like, "Nah, I got issue with this politically." This,
Yeah.
I say the same thing about Black Panther. Honestly, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because it's like, you know, the nation of Wakanda. Think about it. The nation of Wakanda has all. They have the greatest resource on the planet to the point
Hmm.
where they are advanced scientifically, technology wise, and all of that, centuries to everyone else in the world. And right down the road, slavery's happening,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah.
like,
Like we just gonna not look at that though. We gonna protect our own. Like, nah, y'all can't do that.
you send your, and to even talk about the movie, the plot of the movie, the king sends his brother to be an agent in the states. His brother is becomes radicalized, trying to help black people. We go to check him, make an accident to kill him, and
Hmm.
we leave him. We not only leave his dead body there, but we
For his
leave
son to
his
find.
son.
We leave his son and we leave the body for his son to find. Like,
Fam,
who's the real villains?
fam. That's what, and that's all I gotta say about that. But
But yeah, no,
you know,
great point. Great point.
yeah, yeah. All right. So another thing that we share an interest in, Sims, is definitely the game of football.
Hmm.
NFL football. I know you're a big Giants fan, repping. I'm a Ravens fan. In case any listeners don't know what time it is, it's Lamar's year, in my opinion.
It should be.
What do you project for the Giants this year?
I project we could make the playoffs. I'm looking at more or less as a wild card. Hey, if somehow we won the division, so be it. But I feel like the other teams in that division, of course, is always the Cowboys. Ooh, we're gonna win the Super Bowl every year. There's
Every
always the
year.
Cowboys. And then we got the Redskins. They look like they're building something. Rivera's still there, I think. So
Yeah.
I always like Ron Rivera, so it's hard to root against him. Who else we got in that division? I feel like
Eagles,
the Eagles think, yeah,
the
no, can't be, yeah,
NFC.
duh, yeah. Um, and I can't. I feel like we talked about this before, but I can't. It's hard to hate on Jalen Hurts, man. Like, I don't speak this loudly in public often because they're a rival, but for some reason, not for some reason, I've always had a love for the Eagles aside from the Giants, and a lot of it is always just because of their quarterback situation. You gotta look at
Mm-hmm.
Cunningham. I hated McNabb. I hated McNabb,
I mean,
but
he was an easily hateable person.
yeah, but they always had someone at the quarterback position for as long as I can remember that we could, as black people, could relate to. And
Sure.
even as a kid, when I didn't even think about it like that or look at it like
Rodney
that,
Pete.
Rodney
Rodney
Pete,
Pete.
right, right. Like always liked him. Um, Even when I was younger, didn't see things in that light. I look back on it now and I'm like, yo, this is why I always had a liking for the Eagles.
Mm.
Of course, when they brought Vic on, and even now with Jalen Hurts and the story, behind him and everything he's gone through, whereas like, he was in school and then Tua took over and then, you
Mm-hmm.
know, he was still there, and then he came in and won the game after Tua went down, and he had to
Mm-hmm.
leave and go to what is it? He went to Oklahoma or something.
Oklahoma. He balled
Yeah,
out in Oklahoma. Yeah.
and he went out there and balled out, and then even still to come back behind, oh boy, I can't even remember Wentz. He came in behind
Wentz.
Wentz,
Yep.
and
Mm-hmm.
Wentz was their golden boy, and when Wentz didn't work out, he still had to fight for that and go in and shine. And to get where he's at now and make it to a Super Bowl and be looked at as the next one of the next top five quarterbacks, top five, in
Yeah.
my opinion, top five quarterbacks in the league. So, that's a dope story. But when it comes to the NFC East, of course, I always want my Giants to do well. We're building. this the situation with Saquon, of course, is kind of it's they shit on running backs, and I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate the way a lot of business goes down the NFL just because it's like in so many ways like another modern day slave trade. But
Mm,
I mean, just you got these people you could put a tag on them and you could do it for 2 years and diminish their value basically, and then when they're out of it, it's kind of like look at Le'Veon, like he did it and then he came back and he still got to play eventually, but he wasn't the same. And it's like
right.
you're wasting his good years under this franchise tag. You can't even pay him. But these people are touching the football more than anyone else on the field out of the entire team. So yeah, that was a wild tangent. Sorry,
No, you're
um,
good.
but
We'll talk about that next because that is a question that I was thinking about.
yeah, but I think the NFC East is going to be. I mean, shit. Think about it for a good moment. Last season, we had our record overall in that division was better than anyone else's in the league, division
Yep.
wise. So
Yep.
I don't know. It's going to be a tough fight. I think the Giants can build on what we did last year. So of course, they just got to go out there and produce. So we got to wait and see. So.
All right. Well, what about Mr. Moneybags, Danny Dimes? Like,
I,
is he the man that's going to get y'all to the playoffs or deep in the playoffs?
he can be a piece. He is, in my opinion, definitely not a superstar. He, to
Right.
me, in a very lot of ways, is akin to like Julius Randle on the Knicks,
Okay.
and it's kind of like he's our star, I guess for now. In my opinion, I would pick Saquon as our star
For sure.
over Daniel Jones,
Danny. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but he can be that mid-level star because he produced, especially with this new offense we have. He produced
Mm-hmm.
last season. Um, and I think he can continue to produce. I love our coach. He always got a fresh pair of J's on his feet. He
I haven't
do. I
seen
love
that.
that
I
guy.
need to
Yeah,
look. I
yeah.
need.
Go back and check out his shoe game. You could Google his shoe game and like you'll see it. He always got a pair of fresh threes
I
on.
know the
Those are my
players
favorite.
rock with him. At least from what
Oh
I've seen, they
yeah.
rock with him.
And it's always to me, of course, like anything, it starts at the top. And he's always come in with, not doing too much, not even speaking too much, but just having a good little rapport with the team, and they seem to love it. And of course, if you can get them to follow your path, then the sky's the limit. Um, but yeah, no, I don't think Daniel Jones is a superstar. He got to put in a lot more work and show me a lot more before he can be like he's that dude.
For
But
sure.
I definitely think we may have overpaid him, but we also paid him based on the quarterback position and that that average. So I get that as well. We will
Yes.
see if he comes in and between him and Saquon they produce this season. It's like all right, we got something because he can not only throw a decent football, but he can
Mm-hmm.
run. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what the NFL has moved towards. NFL is being able or players being able to throw and run.
Danny has progressed with each season. So,
Hmm.
I understand people being skeptical when they say, why the hell did Giants pay that much? It's the quarterback position. It's the most important position in that game.
Yep.
The league is a quarterback league. So if you have a guy that you can win with, that you feel somewhat confident with, pay him and keep him and
Hmm.
try to get, because Barkley only has a couple more years left.
Yeah.
Honestly, just being
Yeah.
honest. So it's not like you're just gonna scrap that whole team and just draft somebody and start over. Like, no, you got somebody that can win you some games. So
Hmm.
and this is going far in ahead, but uh, who do you have coming out the NFC for the to the Super Bowl?
If I had to
Get,
pick right now, definitely probably
yeah,
the Eagles again.
Eagles. Okay,
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
that. I feel that. I like their team, man.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
like their team.
I like them a lot. They're probably like I said, one of my favorite teams. Like I slick watched them quietly throughout the season. Aside from my Giants, I let me see what they do it over here. Like, and not
Right.
just division rival, but just they're a good team. I love Jalen Hurts' story, and it's cool to see someone put in the work, be dedicated, not only in the work but their faith and everything. Like
Mm,
he's a good dude, and you
yeah.
want to see those type of people succeed. So
What about the AFC? Are you picking to come out the
that's
AFC?
tough. You got y'all, you
Yep.
got the Bills, you got uh I don't see them projected as highly as most or as
Mm-hmm.
people are now, but you got the Jets, of course, because you got that bad man, as Stephen A would say. You got him over there now. I don't see them doing as great as everyone's saying, but I also don't
Mm-hmm.
see them doing bad either. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think
They'll
they're
be
kind of on top.
competitive.
They'll
They're a
definitely be
competitive
competitive.
team.
I
Yeah.
think they can make the playoffs definitely. And then also that's another story that I like to see because I want to. I don't. I never looked at Aaron Rodgers as a bad dude. Like, and when I mean a good person versus a bad
Right.
person.
Right. Right.
So, with everything that he had to deal with, like that man want to go out and do his shrooms and peyote and sit in the dark. So be it. Like, we got so many judgments on people because of what they do in their personal life. He ain't harming nobody. That man showed
Right.
up. He won a Super Bowl for y'all. Get that man what he wants, and if he want the money, y'all got it. So be it. Now, if it's gonna gut the team, and you can't put pieces around him. Then I get that. But
Mm.
I think so many people look at him crazy because of his outside of work life. Man, let that man do what he want to do. KD say he
Right.
walked into a meeting with Adam Silver smelling like weed, and soon after that or before that, they just said, "Hey, we're not testing for weed." My point is, I get you got to have these faces of the franchise, and you gotta uphold certain standards because of what we're doing within the team and the workplace. But also, like, man, like Aaron, they be looking at Aaron Rodgers crazy. He a regular person just like everyone else. But
That's real.
with that being said, I think the leadership, like he's going over there and he's smiling. Everybody's like, "Yo, like we're having fun." And you
Mm.
want to have not only is it a sport and it's a job, but it's also the main reason we all have played sports is for the fun of it. And it's
Right.
kind of like if you can still get that feeling, that vibe out of it, I think when it comes to sports, you'll get the most production out of your players. And once again, after that, the sky's the limit. Like we out here, we not only producing, but we're having fun doing it. We're
Mm.
following a proven leader. Let's go get it. And I think that's how a lot of these teams are. They're having that mentality whether they're projected to get it, win the Super Bowl or not. They're like, who are y'all to tell us what we can and cannot do? We're about to go do it. And I think in the past few seasons across the board with a lot of these teams, you've seen that because they're like, who are you to tell us what we can't do? We're out here, we're putting in the work. And we're gonna go get it. And it's just like the Denver Nuggets, they weren't projected to win the championship last season, and they went out there and got it. And they just worked. They had fun doing it, and they reaped the benefits.
I feel that. I feel that. I got for me, I think it's going to be the Bills and the Eagles in the Super
Okay.
Bowl. I
Okay.
like both of those teams. I think the Bills are long overdue, even though I love my team, but
I was gonna say.
also also my team has some limitations.
Okay.
I think the Ravens haven't really addressed that offensive line like they should.
Mm,
Because Lamar hasn't been healthy the past 3 seasons. And that's
yeah.
largely because they've shortchanged on that offensive line. Like, I don't know if you remember it, but Orlando Brown Jr. was our right tackle, and
Okay.
we had Ronnie Stanley as our left tackle. And it got to the point where both of them, their contract years were coming up, and Baltimore picked Stanley and traded Orlando Brown Jr. to the Chiefs.
And look at them.
And then he won a Super Bowl. So it was like y'all low key picked the wrong offensive lineman to
hmm
invest in, but they they gotta tweak some things about that offensive line. I gotta see Lamar be healthy for a full season before I'm like, all right, Ravens, we're going to the Super Bowl because
Yeah, and a lot of people don't. That was whenever, in my opinion, the Giants have been bad. The biggest issue is the offensive line because you can't protect the
mm-hmm,
quarterback. So they don't have time to even make a decision. They don't have time to hand it off to the running back. They're just collapsing on the quarterback so quick. It's like, what are we even doing out here? And then when the seasons when the Giants had a good season, their offense,
it's
and it's
always
not
been a
the
solid
only
offensive
piece, but
line.
of course, but you gotta have a solid offensive line. If you're not, you're just out
Mm-hmm.
there wasting your time. So,
Y'all invested my guy, Andrew Thomas, man. Y'all cashed
yes,
out on
sir.
him. That's my
As we
guy.
should
That's my
have.
guy.
You saw him
Yeah.
tossing around Kayvon Thibodeau the other day like he was like a piece of
Oh,
chicken.
really?
Like,
Oh, nice,
oh
nice, nice,
yeah, yeah. I
nice,
mean, they were in
nice,
practice,
nice.
but it was like they were like, hey,
Yeah.
we got
It's
some.
different
So,
over
but
here.
oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's gonna be fun to watch, man. It's gonna be definitely exciting.
Yeah. Are you doing any fantasy football?
I am, and I need to stop because every year I do about
That's what I was
three.
about to. Okay.
Like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And it's not. I
It's
like to
easy to
participate.
fall into. It's easy to
It's
fall into.
easy to fall into. I'm not as when I'm on one to two teams, I'm more dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have one, two. I think I only have two, unless no, I think I got three again. So I normally do one with my Xbox boys. Um, my friend Eric does one, and then my bartenders from Skyline, they have one as well that they got me in.
Okay.
So, and I haven't won one in a while, but
Mm.
I think I won the Xbox one. But what happened is they asked me if I'm doing. I'm like, sure, $20, I got you. Sure,
Mm-hmm.
$50. Like in the end, it's like I spent money on worse. We'll go out drinking and spend that money on one night. So I try to participate in anything just to be you need an extra person, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't know how much time I'll have to really, really devote to it, but we'll see. If
Mm.
anything, I just try to make sure I'm in for the draft, even if it's
I
online.
I haven't done it for 3 years.
Yeah.
Like three years ago, I was like, nope, I'm gonna dedicate my time to doing other things. I found myself not really watching the game, but just watching if my player scored a touchdown and that
Yep.
sort of thing. And I was like, nah. Plus, I was planning for the wedding and stuff. So,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Lois already on my ass, like, yo, have you done this? And I'm like, nah, the Eagles play at 4. I got to watch if Jalen does, that sort of thing. That never goes over well. So,
No. Yeah.
so I said, I'm not doing it. But this year, I may break the streak, man,
Yeah.
because one of the homies has a fantasy football league, $50 buy-in. It's like $700 right now, and I'm just like, man, math is mathing right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, math is definitely mathing right now. So I don't know. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
When we used to have one back in the day, we had one with Pappas. So it'd be like me, Michael Pollock, David Young. We would
Mm.
rent out the whole we rent out a hotel
Rest in peace, David, man.
rest in peace, David. Yeah, good dude. We would rent out like a whole conference room in a hotel, and it was like I think it was like $150 each, maybe 100 each.
Mm.
But we rent out the room. Everybody bring their drink, and we just be going around. Saying it was fun, good times. And then the way our league worked was every transaction you made was $5. So that
Ooh,
pot, ooh, that pot can get stupid.
I like
And
that. I
I
like
tried not
that.
to make trans. I won my money back one year, but it's like that first place, it could be a couple
I
grand.
like that. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money in that room too. The names that you named, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we
You already
playing.
know.
Yeah,
You already
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, it was like me, Pollock, David Young, Tony. He used to be one of our bartenders, and I
Mm-hmm.
participated probably about 3, 4 years in a row.
Mm.
Shit, Matt. Yeah, it was fun. And if you win your money back, like you good. And I think second place like won half the pot, and then first place, and it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, that's a
So,
come up, man. That's a come up for sure.
hmm
All right, man. You know what time it is. I got a question from last week's guest for you. Did you ever see the answer of your question?
I did not.
Pl-
What did I
Please.
ask again? Recap.
Okay, your question from last time was if the guest was ever in a like a freaky situation, like a super sexualized freaky situation, and what did they do to get out of it? Listeners, if you haven't seen it, please go back and watch episode 2 of the Life and Times podcast and listen to Deja's answer, please. Please listen back. Please listen back.
I would definitely
And
go back and
yeah, you
listen.
need to go back. We're on YouTube now, by the way, listeners. If you haven't
Hey,
already, check it out. Videos are on YouTube. So you don't just have to listen on these audio platforms.
there you
All
go.
right,
You can see
so
our lovely faces, our lovely
no
mugs.
doubt, no doubt, no doubt. We black don't crack. It still holds true. All right, so Sims, your question is comes from Zipporah. I don't know if you ever met her, but
Name sounds familiar.
good people, really good people. We're somewhat in similar. Y'all are in somewhat similar circles, but shout out to her, listeners. If you haven't checked out, terrific episode last week. Zipporah's question for you, Sims: what triggers you, and more importantly, what are you doing to battle those triggers?
All right. Probably the first and immediate thing that came to mind.
Okay.
Um, Stupid ass questions that triggers me. Um,
Give me an example. Give me an example.
I'll give you an example. My girlfriend's probably gonna be mad. She said, "What did she owe?" So she just came back from Scottsdale, and she was on a trip, a bachelorette trip.
Okay.
So she was talking. So her flight got delayed because,
Scottsdale's Arizona,
yes, sir,
not
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Scottsdale on the east side.
Nah,
Of
nah, nah,
okay, all right,
Scottsdale,
cool.
Arizona.
I was like, damn,
So,
she got a Gucci man bachelor party. All right, bachelorette party.
her flight got delayed. So the storms came in Sunday, and it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I took a few posts and pictures that came out actually amazing. But anyway, she was coming in from Scottsdale. I was gonna pick her up from the airport about 11:30 Sunday evening. And then the storms came in, and all the flights got delayed and pushed back. So then, probably about 11 o'clock, as I'm about to leave from work, she's like, "Yo, they're diverting us to Dallas." And then I'm like, she's like, well, I'll let you know, whatever, whatever. So the flight got delayed, then it got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Then basically she didn't leave out until yesterday morning sometime. Um, so as I go snatch her, I was at work, so I left out for like a quick 30 to go pick her up from the airport as she came in. So we just have a conversation. We're talking about it. And I can't remember the conversation came up. I can't remember exactly the whole scenario of her side of the conversation, but it was like how she was saying she had to get an Uber. So she got the Uber Lux or whatever. And then and then
She fancy.
now this going from this went from stupid question, but it was actually a dumb answer. But she didn't mean
Okay.
it that way. But the look on my face was just like, so she's like she's in Uber Lux because I think the time frame versus the cost it just made more sense. So she jumped in the Uber Lux, and I'm like, what did they put you in? And she says a car. So, so back to the stupid questions. It was a stupid answer, but my the way I fixed this is I just kind of pause and think. I know she didn't mean it that way. I know she didn't mean to come off that way, but it's just like when these things happen, because especially working in the industry, you get a lot of dumb questions.
A whole
And
lot of them.
if I respond in my asshole way that I respond 99% of the time in real life, I'm gonna get, if not bad reviews, fired. I'm gonna just be in some problems. So a
That's a
lot of
fact.
times I have to stop, pause, take 5 seconds, because sometimes in those instances the people kind of realize that was a dumbass question, and I was just like, when they say it like that, I can make humor of it, and I could
Mm-hmm.
kind of laugh. Like, I mean, I listen. I wasn't gonna say that, but and then a lot of times, I'm able to do that and fix the situation. Not even fix the situation, but bend the situation to kind of make fun of it or have fun with it. But there's nothing worse, or like someone to check our website and someone to be on their phone looking at our website and be like, what's the phone number, or what's the website. They'll be on Google search rooftop LOA or something, or anywhere, and then say,
Right.
what's the website? Man, if you don't press that motherfucking link and leave me the fuck alone. So that's not only at work, it happens a lot at work, but just in life. Like, if you ask me something crazy, I have like, and you see me just pause for like 5 to 8 seconds, it's just because I'm trying to gather myself and trying to figure out how you can ask me this. I think we've all asked a dumbass question before, so I
Oh, for
mean,
sure.
we're
For
none
sure.
of us are immune to it. But it's just when it happens to me, like the Virgo in me, it shows on my face, and I can't really hide it. I try to, but not really, and I'm just like, all right, how do I answer this? Because this question don't make no motherfucking sense. And then
That's
I
a fact.
just, but
That's a fact.
that's it.
That's a
That's
fact.
it for me.
Okay.
Trigger.
Okay.
It made
I
me
feel
mad
that.
and angry thinking about it. I had to arc the fist.
So what's your question for next week's guest?
Let me see. My question. This is a lame one, but it's the first one that came to mind. In the instance, we have this one at work a lot. In the
Okay.
instance of a zombie apocalypse, it's kind of lame but goofy one. Um, what would be your go-to weapon of choice
Go
if
to
you
weapon of
can
choice.
have one?
Okay. Okay. That's not lame.
My,
That's
I have two. I'm gonna just no, I'm not
yeah.
even gonna answer it because they may watch, and then
Okay.
I'll give them some ideas. So I'm gonna just leave it at
This is
that.
true. This is true. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. 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 Then also, obviously, we want you to add two songs to the Life and Times playlist. Listeners, look us up on Spotify. The Life and Times playlist is a curation of songs, vibes, moods, whatever's going on in our life. It's curated by Adrian, the host, and our weekly guest. So, Brian, what two songs are you adding to the list?
So I don't have a song. I have an album.
Okay.
Um,
Give me a
and it's kind
song.
of
Just give me a song just because I
well,
gotta add one.
I bet. So I got to pull it up
Okay.
because I just like kind of discovered it. Not discovered it, but
Okay.
all right. So there's an artist. You may have heard of him. He's new. His
Okay.
name is October London. Have you heard of him?
Yes, he's dope. I love him. What
So
song you got?
Back to Your Place, and then there's another song
Okay.
called
Okay. I like that.
Mulholland Drive. Those
Okay.
two.
So okay.
I say that he came to mind because I listen to I listen to radio, I listen to newer stuff, but I think we talked about this
Mm-hmm.
before. Like old newer stuff just doesn't get me like the older stuff does.
Right.
But also with that being said, I ain't trying to be like too old of a man and trying to be somewhat relevant.
Right.
But I heard I was at work. I think the playlist before we opened was like on some like 80s soul, whatever, whatever. And then I was talking to one of my coworkers and he's like, "Hell, yo, have you heard this dude October London?" I was like, the name sounds familiar, but I think so. And I remember
Mm.
driving one day listening to the radio and I heard a song and it was just very soulful, gave old Marvin Gaye vibes. And then
Nice.
I Shazammed it and I was like, yeah, I was like, actually I did hear of old boy. Um Whatever, whatever, because I Shazammed him before. And yeah, no, he's that dude. His album's called The Rebirth of Marvin. So I haven't looked too
Nice.
much into
Yeah.
it, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
You
it's
know what
paying
time it is
homage
with
to,
him.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So yeah, we listened to the whole album yesterday. Like it's a cool little vibe. So I fucks with it.
Nice. Okay. All right. Cool. So my two songs for y'all. First song is coming from that Danger Mouse Black Thought album, Cheat
Ooh.
Codes. I don't know. I know you had to have listened to that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. It is Russ on there,
Okay.
and I hate Russ's guts. He's an
My girlfriend got me on Russ. Like she'll listen to him and I yeah.
he's talented, man, and
Yeah.
he cooked on this on that track. So
Mm-hmm.
very he was very transparent about his insecurities on there, and I always like that kind of stuff where, if you're an open book, then I want to listen to you more.
Yep.
Second song, this is a group that I used to listen to hardcore in the early 2000s, and that's the Arctic Monkeys.
Okay.
Yeah. Do I want to know? I love that song. I just love the vibe to it. Um, Arctic Monkeys, one of my favorite bands. Just a great vibe, great energy, and I just love that group. So shout out to them.
Okay. All right. All
Listeners,
right.
check
All
out the
right.
playlist. It's we've gotten a good amount of songs on there, good vibes. You want to listen to something while you're working out, pop it in.
Excuse me?
You're good. Or you can
That's how
dance
my
like Sims right there.
that's how my daughter dances. I'm just doing her dance.
Oh, she does that. She got the old spirit. All right. Well, Sims, once again, man, let the people know social media, where can they find you?
You can find me Nick Fury 187, all one word. That is my social media alias, probably across the board. I think I'm gonna see if I can go ahead and trademark it until maybe I
Nice.
get famous and then Marvel sues me for using Nick Fury. However, I've been
It's
using that
fact.
name for over 20 years on social media now.
Yeah,
So
that's
come
been
and
a
get me.
long
I got
time.
proof.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been a
Since my
long
first
time.
email address, it was nickfury187 at AOL.com. Come and get it.
Nice, nice. Okay. All right. And listeners, once again, this is the Life and Times podcast, which is short for the Life and Times of a Restaurant Lifer podcast. If you haven't already, look us up on all audio platforms, podcast platforms. We are on YouTube. And of course, follow us on Instagram at Suplex Dinner Club. We're building a community of thought and conversation and fun and all that kind of stuff. And we would love for you to be a part of it. Mondays, we talk college football on Dogs versus All Y'all, where we don't just talk about the national champion, Georgia Bulldogs. We talk about all things college football, hence All Y'all. And on Wednesdays, you know the vibes. It's the Life and Times podcast. So shout out to the people, shout out to the listeners. Thank you again for any feedback, good or bad. I really do appreciate it because I am trying to build something with this project. So shout out to you for listening. Sims, thank you again for joining us, man. I
Thank you for
appreciate
having
the
me.
conversation as always. And listeners, enjoy your week. Take care of each other. Peace.
I don't know. I don't care. Bye-bye.
Hold up! Hold up! You know what it is. Yeah. Now listen, that's called my boy. You know nothing about